When people think about South Korea's rise over the last century, they often focus on its economy or technologies. However, one of the most influential forces behind South Korea's development has been the Korean Church. When Christianity arrived in Korea in the 1600s, it was small, only a handful of believers. It remained that way until the opening of Korea to the West in the 1880s and the explosive growth periods of the 20th century. Today, Christianity is one of South Korea's most influential social institutions. South Korea is home to some of the largest churches in the world, and it's become a major center for global Christian missions. Beyond its religious influence, however, the church has contributed significantly to education, healthcare, social welfare, and democratic reform. Underlying many of these efforts was the Christian belief that every person is created in the image of God, as described in Genesis 1:27, and therefore each person possesses inherent dignity and worth. While the church has not been without its shortcomings, its overall effect on South Korea has been positive. These contributions reflect the idea of imaginative missions, because Christians sought not only to spread the gospel, but also to build up God's kingdom by envisioning a society where people could thrive spiritually, intellectually, physically, and socially. One of the church's most significant contributions to South Korea was in education. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Christian missionaries established schools that helped increase literacy and expand access to learning, already establishing hundreds of schools by 1910. At a time when educational opportunities were limited for women, Christian educators promoted the idea that, as aforementioned, every person was created equally in the image of God, and therefore they deserved the same opportunity to learn. Missionaries founded institutions that would later become some of South Korea's most respected and prestigious universities, including Yonsei University in 1885 and Ewha Women's University in 1886. These schools educated generations of leaders, professionals, and public servants who contributed to South Korea. By investing in education, the church helped create the skilled workforce and culture of learning that played such a big role in South Korea's economic success. The church also made important contributions to healthcare and social welfare. For missionary medicine, access to modern healthcare had been limited. Christian missionaries established hospitals and clinics that introduced Western medical practices to Korea. These institutions provided care regardless of a person's social status or economic background. In addition to treating illness, many churches organize programs to help the poor, care for orphans, and support vulnerable members of society. Such efforts reflected Jesus' own ministry of compassion towards those who were suffering. These contributions helped improve quality of life and strengthen communities during the most difficult periods of Korean history. Through healthcare and social services, the church demonstrated that Christian faith should be expressed through practical acts of love and service. Another major area of influence was the promotion of democracy and human rights. During the periods of authoritarian rule in the 20th century, both by the Japanese and the Koreans themselves, many churches became places where citizens could gather, discuss societal issues, and advocate for political reform. Christian leaders often spoke out against injustice and emphasized the biblical teaching that every person possesses inherent dignity and worth. Notably, approximately 16 of the 33 signers of Korea's 1919 Independence Declaration during the Japanese occupation were Christians. Some church leaders participated directly in movements for democracy and civil rights, helping to challenge oppressive systems and encourage greater political freedom. While many factors contributed to South Korea's transition from democracy to democracy, the church played a meaningful role in shaping a culture that valued justice, accountability, and human dignity. Despite these positive contributions, the influence of the Christian church has not been entirely without criticism. Some argue that Christianity contributed to tensions with traditional Korean religions, such as Buddhism and Confucianism. Others point to scandals involving megachurch leaders or concerns about political involvement by churches or other religions. South Korea's rapid modernization and history of trauma has created a very vulnerable population, fostering aggressive, fringe religious groups claiming to be Christian. These can often be described as cults. Issues like this remind us that churches are made up of imperfect people and institutions. We should acknowledge these shortcomings rather than ignore them. While these criticisms are valid, they still don't erase the significant contributions that the church has made to Korean society over the past century. Overall, the Christian church has become a substantial and largely positive effect on South Korea. The country gives back to the missions that once provided it incredible support. Now, South Korea sends over 20,000 missionaries across more than 150 countries. Despite once being a mission field, Korea is now one of the world's largest missionary sending countries. What I find personally the most interesting is that many of the missionaries who came to Korea never lived to see the results of their work. They invested in schools, hospitals, and communities simply because they believed it was the right thing to do. More than a century later, their efforts continue to influence millions of people. This teaches me that imagination and a commitment to God's kingdom can shape history by inspiring people to work towards a future that they may never personally experience. Ultimately, the story of Christianity in South Korea isn't just a story about church growth. It's a story about people participating in God's mission, imagining what God's kingdom could look like in their society, and working faithfully to make that vision into a reality. As Matthew 6:10 states, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." By envisioning a better future for all, the church exhibited the unconditional love of God. Korea is a great example of how missions can build up a kingdom of God right here on earth. The Korean church to this day continues to play a vital role in the nation.